Here's what I'm curious about right now. How distracted are you? How distracted are you keeping yourself? What I mean by that is, have you kept yourself so busy that you're not noticing what's really going on, either with you or out in the world? Maybe you're overwhelmed. I know a lot of people are very overwhelmed. I know a lot of people are just, there's too much coming at them at one time. A lot of people are feeling anxious and panicky about just everything that comes at them constantly, whether it's global news, whether it's American politics, whether it's their own family stuff, whether it's health, whether it's conspiracy theories and marches and whatever it is. There's so much coming at us every single day that it's sometimes hard to cope. And what happens when it's hard to cope is we shut down. We just withdraw, we pull in, and we find ourselves sort of bowing out of what's going on and try to bury our head and just make it through, because we're all just trying to survive, right? But here's one of the things that I've noticed that I'm curious to find out from you, and I genuinely want to know from you. Have you noticed, or has anybody you know noticed this about you, when you've had an emotionally disproportionate response to something? This is a huge, huge clue. So what that means is that somebody pissed you off, did something that upset you, and instead of you having, let's say they did something that was at a level 5, and you responded at a level 9. And you don't know it until you look back and you think, wow, I lost my shit there. What was going on? This is vitally important for all of us to understand. A disproportionate response is something that comes up when we've not dealt with something. And what I'm noticing is when I look in the streets, when I look online, when I look in the media, when I look at myself, that I'm catching myself having disproportionate responses. See, for me, sadness, hurt, looks like anger. My face will look angry, but my heart feels deep hurt or sadness. I notice that anger in the streets. I notice that anger online. And I know that anger is a great cover-up for a lot of sadness and, for some people, hopelessness. Fortunately, it's not that in me, but it is in many people. What I'm suggesting to you is that we can't bury our heads in the sand. We must create an awareness around a disproportionate response that any of us are having at any point in time. You see, because our spirit is who we are as human beings, is deeply loving humans. We are amazing. And even in the shittiest of times, we will come through. We will find a way to love. We will find a way to inspire. We will find a way to connect to our dragonfire, to the spirit of who we are, to the magnificence of who we are. We will find a way to love each other. We will find a way to do all those things. But we can't do that while we're ignoring what it is that's going on. And I get ignoring it because it's too much. But when you ignore it, there's these disproportionate responses. You find yourself screaming at somebody you love about something that you would normally just let go. It doesn't matter. So my challenge to you is to stay curious, my friend. Stay curious about how maybe your hurt is coming out as anger. Maybe another feeling is coming out as something else. But if you're having a disproportionate response, if you find yourself breaking down in tears over something that normally you would find minor, that's because you're in overwhelm. You're suffering what I talked about in another video, which is part of the collective PTSD, this mass trauma that we're all in right now. And the only way out of it is to stay curious with each other, with ourselves, to stay loving, empathetic, and compassionate. I want to hear from you. I'm curious. Tell me about how you're dealing with all of this. Dove Baron, dovebaron.com. Thank you.